Welcome back to Joe's Toolbox Exchange. Today we got another tool haul. So we bought this Snap-on Classic. We kind of paid, this is one of those deals where I know the tools in it really aren't great. It's a lot of maybe Harbor Freight brand or Icon or Craftsman, that type of stuff. I don't really know if there's any tool truck brands in here. But on a box like this, what I attempt to do is pay close to the value of the box. So if it's, I think this box will sell for $1,700. I try to pay $1,700 for the box, and then the tools are just kind of a bonus. So if the tools end up selling for a few $100s, it's a few $100s profit. I'm not really into the tools for anything, just the sweat equity it took to get the box. This box was only like 30 minutes away, or about an hour away. So 2 hours in, and then all these tools will probably end up selling in like a bulk lot locally because they're not really worth enough to sell individually. A lot of times I don't really film videos like this because I feel like it's not super interesting because, you know, I guess me personally, I care more about, you know, a lot of the tool truck brands or, you know, even brands like SK or Proto. But a lot of the foreign Taiwan brands I don't really seem to care as much about, so I usually don't film this type of stuff, but it's been a few days since we made a video, so I figured we'd still make it for you guys. Another thing I want to do, one of you guys commented, and I think it's a really good idea, which is to weigh the box before and after so you guys can get an idea of what the weight it actually is in tooling, because I know we talk a lot about these boxes, we do reviews, like this is going to be a KRA2422, the weight rating on these slides are 120, so you have 240 in the top drawer, and we mention that in all these videos, but maybe it's kind of hard to, like, I guess, visualize what is 100 pounds or 200 pounds of tools actually look like. So we will weigh the box before, and then we'll take all the tools out, and then at the end we'll weigh it so you can get an idea of overall, you know, is there 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, you know, what is the actual weight of the tools. I think in the future when we do this with a box that's maybe slightly more interesting, we'll probably go over every single drawer individually, you know, weigh the box and then take the tools out of one drawer and then weigh it after so we can find the net weight of tooling in each side of each drawer. So what does a full socket drawer weigh? And I think that's an easy way to do it. For this video though, we're just gonna weigh the tools as a whole. So we're going to go ahead and bring this into the far shop and get it onto a scale so we can get the weight of it, and I will be right back when we have that done. All right, so we're back and we now have the box loaded up on the scale. As you can see, this box is slightly too big to fit on the scale comfortably without getting pretty close to the edge. So what we've done is just set the front wheels on and then jacked it up to basically bring the right side in. So it is completely off the ground. As you can see, that wheel spinning, and we are at 540 pounds. So once we bring it back into the other room, we will be back and we will unload all the tools over there. And then at the end, we will weigh it again to see what the difference is. So right now we are at 540 pounds. I will try not to forget that. So I will see you soon. All right, so we got the toolbox in the other room. We're getting ready to take the tools out. This is our new shipping area specifically for the tools. In the past, we used the other business's shipping department to ship tools, but now it's here, so that is what is in the background. As we take the tools out, we're gonna lay them all out of here. We'll kind of go through what the stuff is individually. If there's anything super noteworthy, maybe we'll go into it in detail. And we're going to start with the top drawer. So if you wanna come over here to film the top drawer. I saw this in there. This was, I think, the only real power tool. It's going to be a DeWalt DCG426. It's basically a huge rotary tool, like a massive die grinder. This looks like a standard die grinder bit. This is just huge for a die grinder, but it is cool. I don't think there's even a charger or a battery for it. A Milwaukee tape measure will probably end up keeping because it's better than that Fat Max one we were just using. A tap and die. I did see some machinist tooling in here. I think I saw some machinist blocks, which is strange. Looks like this guy is number 15. This is going to be an Icon set. The 12. They're all sort of out of order. That happens on a trailer. It just shakes them rigorously, and sometimes things can bounce out of place. But this is going to be an Icon set. It's clean. All the pieces look good. You can see it's the 24 to 12 6-point. I bet this one's in the wrong spot. Yes, 6-point deep 1/2-inch drive chrome. Never heard of this brand, Tagvit. That's probably a torque wrench. It is a torque wrench. That is strange. I've never even seen a torque wrench come with like other pieces. These are spark plug sockets. This is a wobble or a universal adapter, and then a 3/8 drive extension. Tag of it. 45 to 45. It feels decent. It's always weird when you see the amount of tools that we go through. I still see brands that I don't recognize. There's just so many brands these days. That's going to be a 3/8. I'm assuming this is a 1/2-inch torque wrench by Lexavon. I have heard of this brand. Okay, this is going to be a 1/2-inch drive. This is much more normal looking without the extensions and stuff. But it goes from... They did not store it zeroed, so that's good. I do not even see without backing it off. Looks like 0 to 250. I just want to stay shut. Okay. This is another little tap and die. I don't know. The writing is completely rubbed off of these, but they're for something specific. Some wire. The trash, or things that I would say are trash, are going to go over here. Hey, Leo, you want this wire?
Yes.
It's yours. This is leads for a meter. I wonder if the meter is in here. This is more leads for a test meter, like a fluke. This is going to be a Craftsman 3/8 deep 6-point set. I wonder if the other piece is in there. Some random pick. Oh, this is the old Pittsburgh sets. These Pittsburgh sets back, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, they used to come in these metal tins, which are kind of cool. But you don't see them like this anymore. Now they're in those plastic rails that are really annoying, but they used to actually come in little metal trays that were nice. It's missing a few pieces. All right, so this is going to be an Icon 3/8 ratchet. And then you have the same thing in a Flex 1/2-inch, another Icon ratchet. They both feel good. Some more trash. This is going to be a Craftsman shallow metric set. So far, every single tool has been metric. I wonder if these Pittsburgh were metric. Yeah. So everything here has been metric so far. This is going to be a Icon. Looks like a mixed adapter set, because this is going to be 1/2-inch, 3/8, 1/4. That might have been an adapter, and that's probably in here. These are Snap-on. This is a Snap-on SXK5. This is going to be a standard 1/2-inch drive extension. A Craftsman pick, Craftsman extension. This is going to be a Mix Power 9-piece socket extension set. He had a lot of extensions. This one doesn't seem right. I bet there's a longer one that's supposed to be there. Either way, you see this a lot with these cheaper brands. When they break, you don't really replace them. You just, or rather warranty them. You just buy a brand new one of a different brand. So, like, this is Mix Power. This is Mix Power. This one's going to be Husky. This one looks like Pittsburgh. So, yeah, you see that quite often where those cheaper sets are all mixed and matched. That's Capri, I think. Is this Capri? This C right here? I think this is Capri Tools. I'm not positive, though. I don't see a lot of their stuff. Then this is going to be a Craftsman 42-piece little general service set. And actually, it's complete. That's pretty rare. It's missing the extension, but I'm sure that's in here somewhere. Or it might even been stuck into this set. But it's missing an extension, and I'm guessing that's a 3/4 to 1/4-inch adapter, because these are going to be 1/4-inch, and these are going to be 1/4-inch drive. So I would assume that that's the adapter to let this ratchet work with those. But you got your E-Torques, or inverted Torques, or E-Torques, and then you have your standard Allen bits, SAE and metric, your Torques, and then your Phillips and flathead, which is kind of cool. I don't think this is in the right place. It doesn't matter. But a couple of stickers. We got a Summit Racing sticker, Taylor sticker, more of these Capri sockets. I'm sure these Capri sockets are a full set, so they're a 3/8, 6-point. Once again, metric like everything we've seen. I'm just going to put them here, as I'm sure we will complete them after the video. some earring protection. And then there's going to be a couple more icon sets in here. This is a 1/2-inch breaker bar by Great Neck. I haven't seen that brand in a while. They're kind of a budget line. And then you have a mixed power 3/8 extension. So I'm sure this one went in there somewhere, but I don't know how that even goes. Maybe it went there. It does go there. And then 3/8 is there. And then that replaces the Husky, so that set's complete. We have another snap-on extension, a 3/8 11-inch FXK11 3/8 standard extension. It's amazing that this one extension is worth a significant more amount of money than this whole set here, so those little things add up. Little sockets like that when we get individual. This is an Icon 3/8 or Icon 1/4-inch. That's that one. So now we're just missing the adapter. When we get these like cheaper, or not cheaper, but individual like Snap-on or Matco extensions, that stuff gets saved because a lot of times down the road I'll need it and it's not necessarily worth listing. If you guys look at like our eBay page, occasionally I'll list individual sockets. That's really when there's just not a lot going on and I've been bored for the week and I'm looking for something to do. I'll hop online and list a couple of individual things, especially the bigger stuff. If it's like, you know, bigger than a 1-inch socket, like maybe it's a 1/2-inch drive, 1 1/16 deep socket or something like that. Those will get listed individually, but as a whole, when it's a, is it 21? When it's just a small, like a single extension like that, maybe it is worth like $10 to $20 on eBay, but I just tend to not take the time to list stuff unless it's above $20. $20 is kind of that threshold when I'll list it. Anything below that, I usually don't. Sorry, I'm just taking time. These sockets here got all bumbled around on the trailer, but that is just how it goes. Say 14. We're almost done here with this set. This is going to be an Icon 3/8 drive. Once again, it's going to be another metric set, and it is their 8 to 19 with skipping no sizes. In the tray, they look a lot like Snap-on sockets. And then they have, so we had that's going to be the 3/8, this is the 1/2, and then this here is the 1/4. They're all deep. He really didn't have that many shallow sockets, or if he did, he kept them. Judging by these tools, this is someone who kept a lot of their tools. You know, sometimes you can tell when we buy a lot if it's everything or it's not. Just the fact that there like isn't a charger for this kind of leads me to believe he probably kept a lot of his tooling, which is fine. A lot of guys, when they go to retire, in this guy's situation, he was... this was his home box, and they were selling their house, and he was going to an apartment from there. So that's why in the beginning you saw that like lawnmower and the weed whacker. That actually came as part of this lot. I usually don't buy yard equipment, but in this scenario, when we got it thrown in on the deal, and sometimes we'll do that, and this stuff's not going to sell probably until spring. That's okay. It'll just sit here for a while. And then this set looks like it's still complete. So we've not had a single incomplete set yet. That's going to be the same as the other ones, a deep 5 to 14 6-point 1/4-inch drive chrome. So they have all three deep well sets there. And then this is the first shallow set that we've seen. These sets always fall apart in the trailer because they're so little. A lot of times the bigger, heavier sockets tend to ride better in the trailer. And when we first started doing this, I would take all the time to empty all the tools out and put them in bins in the back of like a trunk, and then take them out. We got back to the shop, but now at this point, I usually just let them ride, get jostled up. It's really not that hard sorting them back out. It takes less time. I mean, you know, all the sockets are going to be in the drawer, so it just takes a little bit of effort. And then there is going to be your 1/4-inch set. Same as your big one. They line up perfectly, just like Snap-on. So, you know, your deep and your shallow sets, they're easy to cubbyhole together. Their trays are similar to Snap-on. When they have their sockets laying down, they're very reminiscent of Snap-on. That's going to be your 1/4-inch adapter. So it's going to be, or sorry, this isn't even an adapter. This is just a 3/8 universal. These are kind of cool. I'm sure you guys have seen them. All these are, I don't know if you want to call them universal. Wobble would really be the word. But you know, it's where if you put your socket all the way down, you're fixed. Then if you bump it off, it acts like a wobble, and then it's fixed again. It's kind of a cool idea. Most brands make them that style. I mean, Matco, Snap-on, everybody makes wobbles at this point, but when they came out, it was revolutionary. And then more trash, some random socket, and then this stuff here is all trash. I think this is a Titan, no, Tamars, Tommars, a little, looks like Taiwan ratchet. I've never heard of that brand before. And then a couple of miscellaneous, oh, that's crazy. So this is going to be an adapter, it looks like a 3/8. Then you have a spinner on it, so maybe you could hold it. And that's going to probably be your chuck release. And then you could put, you know, a standard bit in it. And then you have another, this is going to be a magnetic spark plug socket. And I have no idea what that is. Trash and a bit. So yeah, I guess this probably would fit in there. So you can release it. This tool is not very easy to use. And then that fits in there, should lock down, but probably needs a bit of cleaning. And then we have bus fuses. I knew a lot of this was going to be trash, but some of this stuff isn't. Hey Leo, bring me that trash can. These are going to be little crimp connects. A lot of this stuff I save, like I'm sure someone will use it. I have too many of these already. When it's stuff like that I don't have, or it's consumables that we use, a lot of times it just ends up in our parts rooms. But for stuff like that, I have a million of those connectors. Same with these. But they go into tool lots. You know, they don't really add any value to a tool lot. Like, I mean, but I'll throw it in. The entire tool lot's a couple $100. You get little stuff like that for free. I try to avoid throwing stuff away if I think someone will have a use for it. These are kind of cool. These are like twist sockets, I've heard them called, but also they're just for removing stripped out lug nuts or stripped out fasteners of any kind. So you usually pound them out with the hammer, and then it will spin out something if it's rounded to the point. A standard, you know, flank drive socket won't take it out, and the set looks complete. This piece actually goes through, and that's for pounding with the hammer, so you can knock out the bit or the fastener once it's in there, because once it's in there, it is in there. You cannot reuse them after this. This is a one and done tool. But they're handy. This is going to be a 40-piece tap and die. I'd be shocked if this is complete. They are never complete. Wow, his is complete. That is pretty impressive. And they don't even look used. A lot of these cheaper tap and die sets, they work, but they don't work very well. So you might, I mean, for a homeowner, they're great. It'll get you out of a pinch, but you're not going to be reusing these taps very many times. They're just not the strongest steel. They break pretty easy. So that's why you usually see these sets incomplete, but this one looks like it's unused. And it doesn't even have a brand on it. I'll get a Milwaukee. Once again, these are usually never complete, and that's usually what they look like. This is the type of thing where it adds no value. A lot of times this stuff I just end up saving because, I don't know, I feel bad selling it, and then maybe someone thinks they're getting a complete set and it's missing all the pieces that you would usually use. You know, usually the number 2s are all missing the standard drill bit sizes. Usually they're really big and really small are still there, but the normal sizes are missing. But maybe we'll put it in a tool lot. I don't know. This is probably a caliper or a micrometer. What do you want to call it? Digital caliper. Yep. These are in every box, and it does turn on. The battery looks faint though, so it probably needs the battery swapped. These are terminal disconnects. I think that's what these are, for all your different terminals. Sometimes people call them terminal keys. This is a pretty cheap set, but I'm sure it does the job just fine. And then we have some files, screwdrivers. I got another 1 snap-on tool. So far I got 3 snap-on tools. We got 2 extensions and a single old school. I like those handles a lot, actually. These are probably my favorite snap-on handles. They're pretty ergonomic, but also really easy to clean. The style they have now I don't really like as much. That's primarily because we clean all these tools and they're a pain to clean. So that's probably the reason I don't like the new style of those. They just wipe off super simple. We have more leads. We've still not found the meter that goes to the leads though. A little, this looks like a tag out for, a lot of times we'll save the locks. I don't know why, but we have piles of them. Used bottle of JB Weld. A bunch of it. This is the type of stuff I say we end up keeping. Like electric tape, we go through it like crazy. So a lot of times I just end up saving it, and it's not really worth anything to sell. This is some huge I do not even know what that is. Oh, it's for crimping terminal connectors, like these down here. That's what this is for. This is just a one and done, so you spin this little dial and it works with the different connectors. This is a thermometer, if it works. It looks like it's reading correctly. These are nice. Everyone should have one. Oh, this speed outs. I have this set and I just used it on a pair of brake rotors. Those little screws that hold them in, they strip out all the time. And this set can usually get them out, but that's what they are, little speed outs, if I can even get this thing open. And this set is complete. They're nice when they work, but they don't always work. So sometimes it's easier just to drill stuff out and then ditch those. So we have the Chief. I'm going to assume that one right there is the fourth. Chief is Harbor Freight's brand. I do not think that those carry any sort of warranty. I think Chief is one of the non-warranty Harbor Freight brands. But whatever, they're little burr bits. You go through them quick. That'd be one tool I'd buy from Snap-on or Matco. If it's a consumable is something that like will get used up under normal conditions. So I almost would even argue that an impact socket is kind of a consumable, because no matter how like correctly you use one, they will wear out over time. You don't really see that with chrome sockets. Correctly used chrome sockets will last forever, but just by the nature of the soft metal of an impact, it does wear out. So it's tools like that I would say are probably worth purchasing from a company that will come to your shop to replace it, just to save the hassle. And that's especially true with things like drill bits, like Matco's step bits. They're like hyper step bits are probably, in my opinion, one of the best buys, because they wear out and snap all the time. And I think everything but like the 5 smallest ones are a lifetime warranty. And same with like Snap-on's burr bits, they're a lifetime warranty and they just wear out. They're meant to wear out. They have a cutting edge on them. Anything with the cutting edge wears out. And you know, if your dealer will come by and replace it, it's probably worth it. Otherwise, you end up just buying a ton of Chief ones and going through them pretty quick. I do not know what this is. This looks like some sort of, I don't even want to guess. I don't know. It looks like something goes in here, and then it's some sort of clamp. I don't know. These are little scrapers. These are nice. They just fit inside of a standard razor blade. A box cutter. That's a nice little trim pad tool. I usually don't see them that small. I'll probably end up keeping that one. It's a little Craftsman. A non-USA. This looks like one of their later Taiwan versions. These are going to be feeler gauges. There's 3 of them. Another crimp connector, and then some more pliers. So a lot of times you'll see that when a guy goes to sell his tools, he might have had all these electrical tools that he doesn't use, like all of these test leads, all of his crimp connectors, all these crimps. Maybe he's switching to an industry where he doesn't use them, like something like agriculture that doesn't use as many connectors like this, so he's just ditching all those tools in the opportunity of switching jobs. You see that. Here's a little, these look exactly like Matco's. Wow. It's probably the same company at the end of the day. I do not like these picks. They're hard to use. The handle on them kind of sucks, and the same with Matco ones. And the Matco ones are too much money for the quality that they are. I think these are for die grinders. Zip ties I always save. We go through them a lot, and nothing annoys me more than this. So if you want to come over here and see this right here, someone had, these are the rails, the really cheap rails for wrenches. It's like those 2 rails, you can kind of set them. They have an adhesive, but the adhesive will not stick to the mat. So people will cut the mat to put the adhesive, but it kind of destroys the liner. Now this liner has to get replaced, and that's a bummer. That's a tubing cutter, a little inspection mirror, some tweezers, throw that away, a pick and a screwdriver, and some huge cutting discs that are pretty rough. So far, the top liner looked great. It's a bummer when you see that, though. Don't do that. Just buy a better wrench or a better wrench rack. I mean, that liner to replace is like $35, so it's like, just spend the $12 to buy a better wrench rack that has them already fixed on the bottom, but it's okay. It is what it is. We have an entire drawer full of pennies. We will leave that. It looks like some giant ball bearings, along with this little guy. Looks like a man. That's pretty funny. I wish these were here, but I did see this. So this is like a good example of something he probably kept. He just ditched the foam. These are their Talon grip pliers. These pliers are super expensive. And a lot of times we get them without foam because they sell them in sets with and without foam. So we'll save the foam, and then when the set comes in, we'll make it a complete set with the foam. And then the foam individually though, believe it or not, Snap-on's foam is quite expensive. You can probably sell this foam for like 30 to 50 bucks, but we usually don't do that. It's just a waste of time in my opinion to be listing little items like that when you could just save them. Someday you will get the correct pliers that go in it, and then we can just two birds, one stone. These are these, God, I hate these things. They fit inside of the internal, external Harbor Freight snap ring pliers. They're junk, they break really easy. And this looks like mostly trash. So we have literal trash, quite a bit of shop towels. This is a crazy light. You just put it into a standard wall, you know, a standard light socket, and then boom, you have this crazy bulb. This is going to be a transfer pump. These are kind of cool. They're exactly what you'd think, like a little balloon pump, but it's for transferring fluids. And that's the box for it. I wonder if the rest of the pieces are there. Probably. We'll look through this at the end and try to complete that set. And we're dripping oil everywhere. Oh man, there's oil everywhere. That's cool. Let me see the camera. That's cool. That's a nice little mess. I'm gonna end up tracking through the entire shop. So if you want to take this back, we're gonna just leave this mess. I will clean it up later, and instead we're just gonna bump this box over on this side to keep working. The fluids are always the worst. They're always like this. There might be some oil on the floor here. And there we go. Okay, literal motor oil. We'll recycle it. We'll recycle it. This is a torch. Some stuff like this, I don't know what it is, but I'll save it till the end because you'll like realize it goes to a kit and I'll regret throwing it away. Something like that will probably get thrown away, but also until I do some looking around, it could end up in something like this. I think this is a grease gun attachment for different fittings. In fact, I know that's what it is. I've sold them before, but this is a cheap little kit, same idea. Some sort of aluminum extrusion, no idea. We do scrap aluminum though. I have no idea what these are. These look like some sort of plug. Jack pads. Jack pads. Do these fit on the bottom of some sort of jack? I would imagine there's no way that's jacking. These must have clipped in. I don't know. This is gonna be nasty wire, little funnel, trash. I always save carabiners too. I don't know why, but they're cool. We have a bunch of them in the back, and here's some sort of little tester with a bunch of hose wrap or whatever you want to call it. That'll all be trash. And this is a Performance Tools 28th punch and chisel set. I'm going to leave that there. Chances are it's inside of one of these other drawers. And that is definitely the punch and chisel set. We have a Snap-on impact driver set. Empty. What do you know? Who's surprised? Not me. We saved these because those kits often do not have the cases. This is going to be a bunch more zip ties. We will save it. This is a funky looking striking pry bar. Is it probably a 4-piece set that's missing some? So we'll set those there. Whoa. This feels awful. This is the grossest tool I've ever seen. Turbo twister. Look how big this ratcheting screwdriver is. You gotta lock it out and then... Wow, that's hideous. More JB Weld. AT&T underground cable, do not dig. Some more screwdrivers. For the picks, I'm just gonna create an area on top, and after the video, we'll put it all together. This is a Snap-on This is a big one. Usually these little valve stem removers, they're the micro screwdrivers. This is a larger size than normal. But that's what they're for. They're for that snap-on. This is for tire valve stems. That's just a bigger version of it. And then these are all going to be no brand, so I'm not going to spend any time looking at these, but this is just a punch and chisel set. That goes inside that bag on the bottom. We got two snap-on. This is going to be, they're both going to be Phillips bit or flathead bits. This one's broken. I'll warranty it. Not all dealers will warranty used tools. I have a bunch over here that need warranted. Our dealers will. Most dealers do. I know some people complain that their dealers will not warranty tools unless they purchase them from them. I've never had that problem, but some of you have. That's why I bring it up. More feeler gauges. I don't really even look at the brands on the feeler gauges. Even a snap-on feeler gauge set is really not worth anything, so they all end up in a tool lot anyway. A couple of bits. Drill bits, like I said, that's a consumable that we use a lot, and we just go through them, so I save them. And then we don't have to buy as many. Bow lube. A Boeing developed lubricant. I do not know what that is, but it's cool. So I'll do some research on what that lubricant's for. And then it's almost like a wax. It almost smells like wax. I wonder if it's for drill bits. It's probably what it is, what it felt like. These are little ignition wrenches by Craftsman. That's what these all are. They should be in this bag. I bet the set's complete. It's pretty rare that you break a wrench this size. So usually you find them complete. And then we have some side cutters and some heavy duty cutters. Ideal, IDEAL. They make a lot of electrical tools. A pickle fork, a non-branded pipe wrench. Well, it is branded by Max Power. I don't know what this is for. It's some sort of insert for a tray. Maybe the tray's in a lower drawer. This is another machinist tool. This is like a block. They do not sell for much. Even high quality branded ones don't sell for that much. Okay, so this is going to be an Icon wrench set, 7 to 19, very similar to their socket set in size. It should be there. It's complete. None of the wrenches fell out. That over next to it is going to be a snap-on pick set tray. PAKTY, P-A-K-T-Y is Snap-on's part number. They put that on all of their plastic trays, and then for their foam trays, they also have their own part number, which is always going to start with an FM. The tray, I will mention though that the Snap-on's trays is not actually for the set because they will recycle the trays. So like a 4-piece mini pick set is the same part number and the same tray as a 4-piece mini screwdriver set. So it doesn't really help to have that part number, but on some stuff like their foam plier set, it is specific to that set. One standard or another metric, a little non-switched ratcheting wrench by Gear Wrench. That's going to be a chisel. That's trash. File stone. Trash. 2 more drawers. We're almost done. And the drawers have less as we go. So we have one Dead Below by a Central Forge and a, I don't even know what to call this. Fish tape, that's the word. But these are handy, especially if you're running wire through your walls. And then we have the 95th edition catalog. I always save these. I'm sure you've seen them in some of our other videos. But sometimes looking back, trying to find, there's this box right here, a KRA2422. Trying to find information on a specific box is not always easy. The catalogs are sometimes the quickest method. This is by Rigid. I don't know what this is some sort of handle to a strap. Is that what that is? For those big band straps? I don't know. We don't use those. We got a wannabe vintage officially licensed GM sign. We'll probably stick that up in the back. We usually save all the signage. This is nasty, but you got your little work apron. I've never seen a mechanic wear a work apron. I've never seen that before. Seems like it would get in the way. And then the last few things here. I don't know what this is for. This is a snap-on handle and it's threaded, but I don't know what's supposed to be threaded onto it. I've sold a lot of snap-on tools. I know I've seen this piece in some set. I just don't remember what it is. And the part number is probably, yeah, there's not even a part number on it. Tell me what this is for. It's a standard snap-on with the triangular handle. I just don't know. It's got a nut on it. If you would tell me what that's for, I'd appreciate it. And then these are attachments to a grinder. So there's a couple of last little pieces of trash in here. We'll go ahead and get that cleaned out. What I'm going to do now is I will cut the video. We're going to go ahead and get the rest of the stuff emptied out on the top. There was quite a bit of stuff that was thrown away, along with some stuff that's not going to end up on the tool a lot, like the books and the signs, but everything else will be on this table, and then we're going to weigh it. So you can kind of get an idea of what the tools, even just a small amount of tools like this weighed, and we'll get the sets put together like the punches and chisels and all the oil cleaned off the floor. So I will see you guys probably about an hour when all that's done in the other room. So I'm actually editing this part in the day after. This is what the tools all looked like laid out. We listed this tool lot for $500. We got like 100 messages within the first hour, and it did end up selling for the full 500. We added a couple other wrench sets, an SAE, and a metric. I know these tool lots are pretty controversial. I get a lot of messages, people saying this is too much money for these tools, but ultimately they always sell fast, and we have a list of people that are reaching out constantly asking for these bulk lots. I don't exactly know why they sell so well, but they historically do. This is probably the 50th lot we've done in one of the smaller ones, and I think it's priced accordingly. Usually the tool lots are over 1,000, so this one at 500 did sell fast. All right, so we got the tools sorted out, the oil spill cleaned up, in the box back on the scale. There is nothing in the box. We did go ahead and get the rest of the, the pennies and the stuff emptied out. And the box weighs 416 pounds, which sounds about right. That's pretty close to what's listed on Snap-on's website. And that's not including the weight of the jack. We have it zeroed out with the jack on the scale, so the box itself is 416 pounds. The tools would put in about 120 pounds. That also sounds correct. There was a lot of tools in space, but not that many tools if you actually think about the weight. A pair of pliers weighs next to nothing. Chrome sockets hardly weigh anything, and there was only, I think, 4 socket sets in total, maybe 5, so there really wasn't that much overall steel weight. So when you think about that with 120 pounds, all of the tools that we took out of this box could fit in from the weight, not the space required, but they could fit in a single drawer like this. On a KRA, these boxes are rated for 120 pounds per set of slides, and that's almost exactly what the tools weigh. So just to kind of give you an idea of what that what that actually looks like, if you are optimizing your space, especially with a lot of impact sockets, you are going to approach a much higher weight quicker. But if you think about what could you store inside of a box, 120 pounds is pretty adequate, compared to some of Snap-on's other boxes that's really low. Being 174 is standard for them, 120 is pretty light. But at the end of the day, a box like that spread across, you probably had less than 30 pounds per drawer. So really not even close to broaching that maximum weight rating. So I appreciate you guys watching. So until next time, I will see you guys soon.